Cafe, and we're all over the world tonight. I'm sitting in New Forest Folk Festival. I shall Mike Rust and Co are up, and Amy are up at the Get a Word in Edgeways Festival up in Shropshire. Waleed looks like he's in Riyadh Star at the moment. I'm not sure, or either that or Ali's around the cafe. But welcome, Waleed, to the to the craziness that is World Storytelling Cafe. And tonight we have the amazing, the fantastic, the outrageously wonderful Baba C telling stories for children. Take it away, Baba C.
All right, thank you. What's that? What's that? Story control, stand by, please. Yeah, this is story control. This is story control. We need to affirm a couple of things. John Rowe, we go for Zoom? We go for Zoom?
Roger that.
All right, thank you very much. And Ali sitting there in the World Storytelling Cafe. We go for Marrakesh? We go for Marrakesh? You're mute. I can't hear you. Roger that. Unmute, please, and roger that. Ali in Marrakesh. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties with Ali in Marrakesh. We're doing one last check. We're going to do one last check. Baba C, stand by. We have a lad of unusual inquisitive status standing by. We have a lad of unusual inquisitive status. That's an L-O-U-I-S. I repeat, that's an L-O-U-I-S. Are you telling me we have Lewis in the house? Yes, I'm telling you we have Lewis in the house. Well, if we have Lewis in the house, we can proceed. That's a go for proceed. That's a go for proceed. We have Lewis in the house. 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Bonjour. Comment ça va? And I'm going to learn how to say hello in at least 2 of the languages in Morocco, but I haven't learned them yet. I hope everybody is having a phenomenal Friday and a wonderful weekend. I am the Baba C. Today, I am dedicating the program to 3 people, 2 of who I mentioned now. That irrepressible, blossoming Louis, who keeps us going on Fridays and lately on Tuesdays as well, and also in honor of Hajj Ahmad. And I'll be doing a story. I've changed my program a little bit, being a story in his honor. But first, this, and someone is bleeding through. I think that may be on the roadside. I'm not sure, but someone's bleeding through. But that's all right. Here we go. From Africa to the American South, magical words flow from my mouth. I want the sun and the moon, they live in the sky. The signifying monkey get caught in his lies. A Nazi's lazy, but the spider's not crazy. When history gets hazy, I don't let it faze me. I'm the griot, the shade, the jolly, tell the stories, the big and the small. I tell it all. Some of them try to grill, but they can't grill like this. Some of them try to grill, but they can't. Cause I'm the Baba C, the Baba C, the Baba C, the Baba C, the Baba C. Cause I celebrate and educate and fascinate. Cause I fascinate and educate and celebrate. Cause I celebrate and educate and fascinate. Cause I fascinate and educate and celebrate. I'm the Baba C, the Baba C, the Baba C. I'm the Baba C and not the Baba A, but Afrocentric is my way. I'm the Baba C and not the Baba B, but black and beautiful is what I be. I'm the Baba C caring constantly. I'm the Baba C caring constantly. I'm the Baba C caring constantly. I'm the Baba C, the Baba C, the Baba C, the C. And now it's time for a story. Hey, Mike, glad you joined us today. All right. Thank you, Mike. Mike and Mike. Oh, M and M. That's magnificent. Yay. All right. Oh, Louis got that one. Hello, Louis. How are you feeling today? All right. First story. Recently, the World Storytelling Community and Marrakesh, Morocco experienced the departure of a very wonderful soul who's often referred to as the grandfather of storytelling in Marrakesh. And so my first story is dedicated to him. He may be an ancestor now, but his energy, his love, the seeds that he planted through his storytelling and his interactions with those that he loved and taught will be with us forever. And of course, this story takes place a long time ago, when Baba C had hair under his kufi and John Rose's hair was not gray. Long, long time ago. There was once a Kijiji, and that is Swahili for village. Although the story comes from Ethiopia and thereabout, I've heard it told from different prospects. But there was once a fierce hunter. How fierce was he? He was so fierce that when animals looked up and saw that he was hunting them, they just dropped dead. For they knew that no amount of running, swimming, or flying would get them away from this fierce hunter. And every day in his village, he would go hunting, often alone. The women would go out to the field. Don't get to my cases, long time ago. This is the way they did things back then. The women would go to the fields and tend to the animals, and the men would go off to hunting. And this was something that happened every day. But one day, this great hunter did not come back. And the day went, the night fell, the dawn rose, and so things went on in the village. Now the great hunter had many sons, and he had daughters, but he had many sons. And the youngest one, Puli, one day stood and he looked about the village. He looked at the Watu Wazuri, the beautiful people. He looked at the men going off to hunting. He looked at the women going off to the fields and tending to the animals. He looked at the older children taking care of the younger children. He stood there pondering, and then he said, oi, where is my father? And the whole village stood still for a second. The silence grew intense. Where is my father? And the village people looked at each other. The animals stopped grazing for a moment. The chickens stopped plucking at the ground. And everyone looked at Puli, who was barely big enough to walk, let alone talk. He said, someone tell me, where is my father? And his brothers gathered around. He said, yeah. They said, yeah. Where is father? I don't know. What? He went off hunting some time ago. We must go find our father. And so the brothers of Puli took off and they went hunting. Now, one son was an exceptional tracker. He could see the slightest bent leaf, the slightest indentation of a track, and he followed it until the track was no more. Another son had a nose like no other. Some say he could smell a lie before it was spoken. And he sniffed this way, he sniffed that way. He sniffed until he caught his father's scent, and he began to follow his scent, and his other brothers followed in suit. But soon the scent was no more. Another son said, I can see beyond what others can see. Let me take a look. And so he looked this way, he looked that way, he looked up, he looked down, and some say he looked all around. And then he said, oh, there is father. And so the brothers of the great hunter followed the brother who had sight beyond sight until they came into a clearing, and in the clearing was the remains of their departed father. They were so sad. But one son said, we can bring our father back. We have many gifts. If we work together, we can bring our father back. And so one son arranged all the bones of his father until he had a perfect skeleton. Another son then passed his hand over the body, causing sinew and muscle to take form. Another son passed his hand over the sinew and muscles and caused skin to reform until they had the still body of their father. Another son said, I will make the blood pump once again. And he placed his hand on his father's chest. Boom, 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 until they could all hear his blood coursing through his body again. But still the body did not move. And another son said, I will breathe the gift of breath into our father's body. And so he did. And their father's body shook again, and it shook. And the great hunter suddenly sat up and he looked around him bewildered. He could not understand. He said, why am I laying here in this clearing? Where are my clothes? Why am I here? What are you doing surrounding me? And they said, oh, Father, you went away days ago, perhaps weeks ago, and no one knew where you were. And Tupuli asked, where is my father? So we had to come looking for you. And now we have you. And we used our special gifts to bring you back to life. Oh, in that case, it's okay. We must go back to the village. But first, let's go hunting. And so they went hunting. And they caught a gazelle. Ah, that was swift hunting. And they came back to the village. And when the village people saw the great hunter and his children, they went, oh! And then they let that breath go. Ooh. He said, I don't know why you're standing around here looking like you're seeing a ghost. Let us have a celebration about my return. And so that evening, they roasted the gazelle and they made fufu and igizu soup. And they made many, many special dishes. Some were spicy, some were not, but that's a story for another time. And as they began to eat and dance and celebrate, they talked about the things that had been happening in the village since the great hunter had disappeared. And they talked about how Puli had stood up one day and said, where is my father? And the great hunter nodded, and the great hunter listened. And after all the food had been drank, all the palm wine had been consumed, all the juices were no more, and everybody had a loud belch. They went to bed. The next day, the great hunter was looking over the fields and noticed the tail of a cow that had been cooked before, and all that was left was the tail. So he took the tail and he combed the tail and he wrapped the tail around a stick. And then that stick, that thick piece of wood, he wrapped with leather and he made a strap so he could carry it. And from that day on, when he would go someplace, he would take the cowtail switch. Some say to keep the flies off of him. Some said to get attention. And everyone looked at the cowtail switch and they said, ooh, and ah, and my, and whoa. Everybody unmute and go, ooh, ah.
Ah.
Ooh. My. Whoa.
All right, go back to mute, Mike Factory. And they began to offer him many things for the cowtail switch. They offered him cowrie shells, and they offered him puka shells, and they offered him wives, but his wife was not playing any of that. And they offered him cattle and sheep. They offered him many, many things, but he said, my cowtail switch is not for sale. But they noticed that whenever he stood to speak at the gatherings, at the meetings, he would hold the cowtail switch and all the people would become silent to listen to what he had to say. And there was always something important. And so after a while, people wanted their own cowtail switch, but none could make one as magnificent as the great hunters. And they still tried to buy the cowtail switch. He said, no, do not ask me for my switch. I am not selling my cowtail switch, but when I join the ancestors, it will go to one of my sons. And so that evening when they were in their compound, the various sons began to say how they deserved the cowtail switch. One son said, I tracked you, father. Without my tracking skills, you would not be here. Another son said, yes, but you lost the track. And I used my senses. I used my sense of smell to follow father's scent. Yeah, but you lost the scent. And I used my sight beyond sight to find him in the opening in the field where all was left was skeletons, was bones. Yeah, but I used my ability and I rearranged the bones until we had a perfect skeleton. Yeah, that you did that. But I'm the one that put the muscles and the sinew back on his skeleton. Yeah, but I'm the one that put the flesh on his body. Yes, but I put the blood back through his veins. Yeah, but it was me. It was me. It was me that breathed the breath of life back into him. I deserve the Cowtail switch. Everybody unmute. Everybody say, I deserve the switch.
I deserve the switch.
Now say, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
I deserve the switch.
I deserve the switch.
Now go back to mute. And they argue, I deserve it. No, you don't. I do. No, you don't. I do. You don't. I do. You don't. I do. You don't. And finally, the father held up the Cowtail switch and he said, silence. He gained a new accent, silence. The Cowtail switch will go to the son that is most responsible for me being here today. And all of his sons, except for one, were filled with joy, for they just knew they were going to get the Cowtail switch. He said, no, my sons. I appreciate what you have done, for you have brought me back to life, and that is a rare and wonderful thing to behold. But when I join the ancestors, my switch will go to Pooley. Everybody unmute and go, Pooley? Why?
Pooley? Why?
All right, Mike and Mike, go back to mute. I like it, Eminem. He said, although what each of you did was miraculous, it was Pooley who asked, where is my father? It was Pooley who asked, where is my father? I'm going to say it again. It was Pooley who asked, where is my father? And until that moment, none of you had remembered me. None of you had given me up. As they say in a country called America, which had not been rediscovered yet, you had given me up, you had given up the ghost. But because of Pooley, you remembered and you came and you found and you resurrected me. So Pooley, who remembered me, will get the Cowtail switch. And so it came to pass that when the great hunter joined the ancestor, his youngest son, Pooley, gained the Cowtail switch. Now, the Cowtail switch meant more than authority. It meant more than who was in charge. The Cowtail switch and Pooley were symbols of this. You see, for as long as the stories of a man is told, as long as his journeys are shared, as long as his memories are shared and rejoiced, he will never be forgotten. And in that sense, he shall never die. Haj Ahmed, you will always be remembered. Your stories will always be told and retold. Your journeys will be shared in books and orally. For you are a spirit now, but still you are a story that continues to unfold. May Allah have mercy upon your soul. And that is my first story. Thank you. You guys can't see, but Mike and Mike, I got a mic. Are you flailing yourself or is that your count? He has an electronic count. Mike M has a magical Cowtail switch made out of electronic cords, made out of charging cords, and I think things of that nature. All right. But Mike W is laying there as cool as he ever is. All right. Oh, Louis, you wanted to say something? Or you're saying you'll be back? All right. I know you're here now, but you don't want to say anything. You're just teasing me. Okay. For those who are watching us from Facebook and other social media platforms, Louis is the catalyst for stories for children on Fridays. Louis has been attending. He's been with us, in fact, before I was. And in fact, Louis asked John Rowe a question, or actually the other way around. John Rowe asked Louis a question, and Louis gave his unabashed affirmative. And the question was, John Rowe said, Louis, should we have Baba C on as a storyteller for children? And Louis said, yes, 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 most definitely, yes. And I've been popping up in and out ever since. Asante Sana, thank you very much, Louis. And also, thank you very much for the honor you shared on Tuesday in your storytelling. Louis made it quite clear that he appreciates me as a storyteller Tuesday on our Young Storytellers broadcast. Now, this story is about Anansi, one of my favorite characters of all time. But I pause. I want to make sure, because I'm using a different setup right now. Can everyone hear me clearly? Is there any background noise going on? No? Great. All right. I might use this setup in the future. All right. So this story is about Anansi. It's also about greed. It's also about why the spider has a narrow waist. You see, a long time ago, when animals could talk, Anansi, I'm not going to say he was fat. I'm just going to say he was fat. He was plump. He was round. He was rotund. All over him body. Because you see, his three most favorite things in the whole world was to eat, to eat, to eat, and to eat some more. Yes, his three most bestest things he loved to do in the whole wide world was to eat, to eat, to eat, and to eat some more. If Anansi wasn't eating, he had just finished eating or he was about to eat. But Anansi was somewhat of a lazy man. And he didn't move around much, although he had 8 legs. He just loved to eat and sit and talk about his next meal, or eat and sit and talk about the meal he just had. But one day, he got news. And the news was there was going to be a party in the Kijiji, in the village to the east of him. He got prepared because if you're having a feast, there must be food. But then his other son brought him news that there was going to be a feast in the village to the west of them. Anansi said, well, I got to go. But neither son could tell him exactly when the festival, the feast would take place. So Anansi, him think so long that Louis grew a gray beard, and him think, and he said, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Kweku, come here. And Kweku came because he's an obedient son. And he gave him a rope, a long rope. And he tied it around his waist. He said, take this rope and go to the other village. When the festival starts, you pull on it and keep pulling until I come to the village. To his other son, Aziz, which means treasure, he said, take this rope. And he tied it around his waist. You go to the other village, and when they start, you pull on the rope until I come to the village. And Aziz and Kweku took off, and they went to the other village. It was a very, very, very long rope. And Anansi waited, and he waited, and he waited. He waited so long that Walid grew a beard. And he waited, and he waited, and he waited. And soon there was a tug on the rope. And he said, that is to the east. I'm going to eat. But as he started to go to the east, there was a tug on the other rope. That is to the west. I'm going to eat. But then the rope to the east tugged, and the rope to the west tugged, and the rope to the east tugged, and the west tugged, and they kept tugging and tugging and tugging and tugging, and the rope began to burrow into Anansi's flesh, and it began to leave a mark, and it burrowed more and more into Anansi's flesh, moving a lot more flesh up and a lot more flesh down, and it tightened and tighter and tighter until Anansi he couldn't breathe. I can't breathe, and he collapsed. Both sons were in a panic because as hard as they pulled on the rope, their father had not come to the feast. And the three most important things in the world to Anansi was to eat, to eat, to eat, and to eat some more. And so they ran as fast as their 8 legs could carry them. And they got back and they saw their father collapsed on the ground with the huge rope tied around his now very thin waist. And it took them a long time to unknot the rope and to release it from Anansi's waist. And they waited for their father's plumpness to rebound, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Nope, it didn't happen. And to this day, in many parts of the world, Anansi and his children, his children's children's children, and his children's 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 children, they got the bigger upper, they got the bigger lower, but they got the very, very narrow waist. And speaking of waist, greed is a waste of time, for there's more food in the world than you could ever eat. Learn to eat what you need. Learn to appreciate what you eat. Do not faint, and do not gain a narrow waist the hard way like Anansi. Asante. I like those. Is that a one-hand clap? Okay. So let's see. We told the story about how people live on after becoming ancestors through the stories we tell, like the stories I'm telling today. We mentioned the Louie, who is with us always, and I think is getting ready to go to swim. But that's okay. Louie, enjoy the swim. But I have a challenge for you. Can you go swimming without getting wet? Louis shaking his head saying no. I had a student. I used to do a summer program called Summer Lift, and it stood for Learning is Fun Time. And every year I would challenge the students, because they would go swimming once or twice a week. And I'd challenge them that whoever could go swimming and get in the water without getting wet, I would give $10 to. Back then, $10 was a lot of money. I said, now you can't wear a wetsuit. Still don't know why they call it a wetsuit when it keeps you dry. I said, you have to actually get in the water without getting wet. And this went on for years. And then one day, this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed youngster came into my office. He said, Baba C, Baba C, Baba C, Baba C. I said, what? He said, are you still offering the $10 for anyone that can get in the water without getting wet? I said, yes, I am. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And he came back with a huge piece of construction paper. Huge it was, I tell you. And he made a large circle on it. And then he wrote words on the outside of the circle. And then he stepped into the circle and looked at me. And I'm like, huh? And then I looked at the words he had written on the outside of the circle. And it said, in the water. So he had gotten into the water without getting wet. But he wouldn't take the $10. He said, no. He said, Baba C, you do so much for us. And every year, people have been trying to figure this out. And just put it in the pizza fund. Because I would often treat the students, if we had a good week and the behavior was well, I would treat them to a pizza party or buy new toys to put into the treasure chest. Well, that's what I called it. They call it Baba C's big box of toys. And they were always allowed to borrow toys from it and put toys in it. But they understood if you put a toy in the big box, it became the property of Learning is Fun Time, but you could still borrow it from time to time. Anyhow, that is my story about a student that got in the water without getting wet. And, oh, Louis is going swimming in Oakham. Is that how you say it? Oakham or Ockham? One of the mics tell me. It's a British thing.
Oakham.
Say it again?
Yeah, it is Oakham, yeah.
All right. Well, he's going swimming. He's going to get in the water and he's going to get wet. Have a good swim, Louis. Hopefully we'll see you Tuesday. All right. For those who are looking at other platforms, you can't see Louis, but he's giving us a thumbs up. He's wearing a green cap and he's getting ready to go to swim. But he's always here on Fridays. All right. All right. My next tale to tell is another favorite of mine. And I'm telling some of my, I actually had planned to tell some of these tales on August 5th, in celebrating my birthday. My birthday will be August 4th. And in Washington, D.C., we have a celebration called Watermelon Day, D.C., and Baba C's birthday. So this Watermelon Day will be August 6th. That's the first Saturday in August. And so we'll be celebrating Watermelon Day. There'll be all the free watermelon you can eat. There'll be poets, spoken word artists, watermelon. There'll be performances, watermelon. There'll be musicians, watermelon. There'll be actors, watermelon. There's a rumor that the DMV's foremost interactive griot and master storyteller will tell a story or two. And watermelon, it's diverse, it's inclusive. The community shows out. It's an outdoor activity, and there's always lots of watermelon. Did I mention watermelon? And it is FREE, free to the public. But I'm going to share another one of my favorite stories. And this is a story about, well, you know, there's more than one trickster. Monkey is also trickster. And this is how Monkey became trickster. Some of you may have heard this story before, but that is all right, because a story worth telling is a story worth retelling. Back in the time before Mike had a lot of rope and pirate paraphernalia, Mike is scaring me. Every time I bring up a character, he puts something. He has a lot of rope. I don't know what he does with that rope. I don't want to know if I want to know what he does with that rope. He has lots of rope. He has pirate paraphernalia. He just held up, I think, a red spider. And hey, Apuva, yay! I approve of you being here. I know that was a bad pun. I know. I'm going to share the story of how Monkey became known as trickster. And as I was saying, long before Mike had all of his props, long before the other Mike had his riads in Marrakesh, long before Louis was Louis, and in a time before John Rowe's beard was white, and before Baba C was bald on top of his head, is when this story took place. You see, there was a garden. It was a huge garden. How huge, nobody really knows. But it was huge enough that every conceivable edible plant that could grow grew in this garden. And you could help yourself. But there was one rule, just one rule, just one rule. And the rule was, before you took a fruit or vegetable or berry from a tree or a plant or a flower, you asked for permission. And usually permission was granted. If you wanted a berry from a berry bush, remember berries often are covered, the bushes often have very sharp thorns on them. And if you ask the berry bush, excuse me, berry bush, I was wondering, it's a very hot day and your berries look so plump and delicious. Could I have a few of your berries? And if the berry bush said yes, it would actually retract the thorns so you could take as many berries as you wanted without getting all scratched up. If you wanted an orange, you'd walk up to the orange tree and you'd say, excuse me, Miss Orange, could I perhaps have a couple of your oranges? And she would usually say yes, and you would take some oranges. And this was true. Whatever you wanted, all you had to do was ask. You could ask for bell peppers. You could ask for potatoes. Some people say potatoes. You could ask for a head coming in off screen on a Puva's side, and it disappeared again, but it's okay. You could add whatever you wanted. You could get bananas and tomatoes, and you could get, but there was one I would never ask for, and that would be okra. And everyone keeps telling me that I just haven't had okra served right.
The only okra I like is the okra that's not on my plate. However, continuing with the story, there was this one tree on the far end of the forest, this one tree that had the most aromatic, most beautifully scented fruit you could ever imagine. Just the smell of it would make you hungrier than you'd ever been before. And the fruit looked so beautiful and so perfect and so pristine. But there was a catch. In order to eat the fruit, you had to ask for permission. But no one knew the name of the tree that the fruit grew from. Now, Monkey was sitting, minding his business, which was rare, on a day that he wasn't signifying, which was even rarer, and he decided, I'm going to get some of that fruit. I am going to get me some of that fruit. Now, rumor was that there was an old lady, some called her older than time, some called her time itself, and they said that she knew the name of this tree. And so Monkey went around to the other trees and he asked for oranges, he asked for berries, he asked for bananas, he asked for tomatoes, he asked for lettuce, I was going to make a bad pun and decided not to. He asked for all types of, and he took a cornucopia of food to the little old lady's house. For she was indeed old and very seldom wandered further than from her porch. And he says, Jambo Nana, how are you today? She says, Jambo Monkey, how are you today? To what do I owe the honor of your visit? Oh, Nana, I was just thinking about you. And I said, I have not been to see Nana in a long time. And it is rude to go to someone's house without bearing gifts. So I went to all the trees and I got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And I thought I'd bring it to you so you don't have to go shopping and you don't have to leave your house if you don't want to. There's enough food in here to last you a week, maybe two, if you don't invite Nancy, because if you invite Nancy, it won't last a meal. She said, oh, that's very, very nice of you. Very nice of you. Sit and let's have tea. And so they drank tea and they talked and they drank juice and they talked. Oh, they had a good time. And then Nana said, oh, I'm afraid I'm getting tired, Monkey. I'm not as spry as I used to be. It's probably time for me to take a nap. He said, oh, Nana, I understand. But Nana, I was just wondering, do you know the name of the tree on the far side of the garden? Oh, you mean the one with the wonderful aroma that makes you hungry just smelling it? Yeah, that one. You mean the one with the beautiful, pristine fruit that looks so delicious, it makes your mouth and your stomach water? Yeah, that one. Oh, what about it? Well, I was wondering if you knew its name. Well, yes, I know its name. Well, could you tell it to me? He said, yes, but listen closely because I'm only going to say it once. The name of that tree is... Oh, Nana, I know you said you were only going to say it once, but your voice is so soft. I think you're falling asleep. Could you please say the name of the tree again? Ah, the name of the tree is... Thank you, Nana. May you have rest. I'll come see you again soon. Yes, do that. But please keep that Anansi away. This food will last me 2 weeks. But like you said, if Anansi comes, it won't last today. And so the monkey bid his goodbyes. And as fast as he could leap, well, monkeys don't leap, they swing. As fast as he could swing from tree to tree. I wonder if he invented that music called swing. But that's another story. As fast as he could swing from tree to tree, and his monkey limbs would carry him, he got all the way to the other side of the garden and he saw this beautiful tree and he smelled that delicious aroma and his mouth started watering and he saw that perfect fruit and his stomach started growling and he said, oh, tree, may I have some of your perfect fruit? And the tree said, but of course, have as much as you would like. Thank you, tree. Thank you, tree. Thank you, tree. Thank you very, very much. And Monkey took a great, big, juicy piece of fruit from the tree and he looked at it. It smelled so wonderful. Oh, it gave him a buzz. It smelled so wonderful and it looked so delicious. He couldn't help himself. He opened his mouth as wide as he could and took a great big bite. Oh! And as quick as his monkey limbs would let him, he ran to the nearest stream, and he drank 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 and he got so bad he put dirt in his mouth to get rid of the taste, and the dirt tastes better. And then he drank and he drank. You know, that was awful. That was awful. No wonder no one knows the name of the tree. No one wanted to remember it. That is the nastiest thing I've ever had, and I've tasted Anansi's cooking. Ugh. But why should I be the only one to taste that nasty fruit? And he began to think with a devilish that even Mike M could not come up with when he was being a pirate. And he got an idea. And he went around to the various animals. He went around to Apuva. He went around to Lewis. He went around to Mike W. He went around to the Storytelling Cafe. He went around to Baba C, but that's another story. And he told them all the name of the fruit. He said, you know, that delicious, beautiful fruit with the scent that is just makes your mouth water, and the fruit that looks so delicious it makes your stomach grumble. I found out the name. All you have to do is go up to it, and you go up to the tree and you ask the tree if you can have a piece of fruit. But I'm telling you, that fruit, oh, that fruit is so delicious. You take the biggest one because you're gonna gobble it down instantly. So remember, go up to the tree and ask the tree if you can have some of this fruit. And I'm telling you, it's an experience you will never forget. And so all the other animals, they said, oh, okay. Well, if monkey eats the fruit, it must be good fruit because monkey likes to eat. And so they told Apuva, they told Louis, they told Mike W, they told Mike F, they told World Story Cafe, they told the Watermelon Man, they told Baba C, but that's another story. And so they began to gather around all of the animals, including the giraffe and the hippopotamus and all the animals. They gathered around. It was almost like it was a sacred ceremony. And they all grabbed a great big piece of fruit and they all took a great big bite. And they all raced to the nearest body of water and they drank and drank, but the taste wouldn't go away. And they drank and drank and the taste wouldn't go away. And some of them began to eat bitter leaves and even eat dirt because the taste of dirt and bitter leaves was better than the nasty taste in their mouth. And they ate and they drank and they ate mud and they drank and they ate bitter leaves and they drank. It took 2 days for the nasty taste to leave their mouth. And on the edge of the forest, laughing his head off, was the monkey. Now, the monkey may have pulled the world's first prank, but from that day on, none of the animals trusted him. From that day on, monkey joined the coyote, the fox, Anansi, as a prankster, as a trickster, and no one would believe a word he said, even if he had the truth coming out of his mouth. And the moral of the story is, some pranks aren't just worth it. And the other moral is, don't believe everything you hear. And another moral is, just because something looks good, don't mean it is good. Asante. My last story is a kind of a strange story. It's unfolding. For any of you who know the name Nat King Cole, please go to YouTube. And if you don't know the name Nat King Cole, go to YouTube and type in Nat King Cole, A Strange Boy. I think that's the name of the song. And A Strange and Wonderful Boy. I believe that's the name of the song. I knew 2 seconds ago. And listen to the song. It's a very enchanting, sad, yet lovely song. This story, the way my mind thinks is that A does not necessarily lead to B, but it reminded me of someone, and this story is dedicated to that person. I was hoping they would be with us today, but perhaps they'll go in the playbacks and see this story. You see, this story is about a girl. To the world, she appeared to be a very quiet girl. But this girl was a girl who knew how to listen. She didn't understand why they called it a babbling brook when she understood what it was talking about. This girl could taste thunder. This girl could hear the songs in butterfly wings and could see the rainbow from birds that flew. This girl could hear the trees growing. She could hear the flowers unfolding. She could smell the sweet scent of jasmine and the sweet scent of lilies and the sweet scent of honeysuckles before they even blossomed. This girl could sit quietly in the forest and listen to the tales of animals. Listen to how the monkey had tricked yet another person. Listen to the giraffe tell other giraffes where the tender, juiciest leaves were to be found. This girl would sit quietly, and elders often forgot she was even there, and she listened to their stories. She listened to the stories of the world unfold. She listened to the songs of the cloud. And when she drank water, she could taste the sweetness from whence it came. Ah, this girl could dance in the morning dew. And on a rare occasion where it was just too cloudy to do anything, when she would come out of the house, the clouds would part and the sun would shine. She was indeed very special. And then one day, she received a gift. It was a book. And she began to read about stories and faraway lands. And she began to read about people that she had never met, let alone dreamed of. And she began to read many of the things that she felt when she was sitting in the forest. She could hear the voices of the animals through the stories, through the words in the books. And she listened, and she listened, and she listened. Until one day, she found a social media platform. And she tuned into the social media platform. And she listened to stories unfolding. And she listened to Baba C's very bad jokes and puns. And she listened to something called the worldstorytellingcafe.com. And then one day, this girl, she spoke. And her first words were, "Hello, my name is Jasname, and I have a story to tell." Asante-san. The regulars know that Jasname is very special to me. I've adopted her as my niece. And yes, so we have a few minutes left over. I can't read the comments while I'm performing, especially Mike Factory's comments, because they'll make me laugh. I have never broken character in my entire 40-something years of, oh, I'm proud of it. 40-something years of, actually 50 years, 50, 70, yeah, 50 years, 50-something years of performing. But Mike Factory comes close to making me do that. So I can't even look at him in the screen, because when I was telling the story about the rope, he held up this very, very sturdy rope. I don't even want to know why you have it, Mike. You got that's all right, Mike. Maybe you box and that's the rope-a-dope. But anyhow, I'd like to take a pause and hear some feedback. And Mike wanted to know who the Watermelon Man was. So let me answer that question before everybody else unmute. The Watermelon Man in Washington, D.C., we have a, He's a storyteller actually, but he uses hip hop music, old school hip hop music, to teach. He teaches writing, he teaches storytelling, he teaches math, he teaches why you should read a book, and he's also known as the Watermelon Man. And he's known as the Watermelon Man because, I guess over 10 years ago, he started the celebration where he brought people in the community together, and he gave everybody who attended get all the free watermelon they could eat and then some. But he brought together musicians and spoken word artists and puppeteers and youth groups and older people, even a gentleman who plays the didgeridoo, which is a very long horn-like instrument. And he brought all of us together, and it's a very inclusive thing. So people from all different backgrounds, faiths, nationalities, and he brought us all together. And over watermelon, we shared fellowship and talents. And he's also known, his name is Bomani Amar, but he's also known as the Watermelon Man. And so that's who the Watermelon Man is. And the first Saturday in August is when we have Watermelon Day DC, but they've also paired it with my birthday celebration, which is August 4th. So this August 6th, we're having Watermelon Day DC / Baba C's 70th birthday anniversary celebration. So that is who the Watermelon Man is. If you want to know more about the Watermelon Man, you can go to my Facebook account, Lorenzo Calendar, or Baba C. the Griot Travels, and there'll be pop-ups about the Watermelon Man there. And that's who the Watermelon Man is. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to get some feedback in the time we have left. So please unmute and contribute praises or constructive criticism, or just unmute and go, ooh, ah. And that includes both mics. Yeah, Lewis is off to swim.
That was great, Baba. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for starting with the tribute to the Hajj, because I think we were all very touched by his passing in the week, and he contributed so much to the revival of storytelling in Marrakesh. It was just great to have him with us, wasn't it? In February, sorry. Yeah.
It was great. I got a chance to, as you know, I got a chance to sit with him at the reception, and and through an interpreter, we talked a little bit. But I believe it was his grandson. I'm not sure, because everyone claims him. But
we're all his grandchildren, I think.
Yes. Yeah. One of his grandsons saw me before I had to leave Marrakesh to come back to the States, and he told me that the Hajj had really enjoyed talking with me, and he thought I was somewhat of a character, but he really enjoyed talking to me. So that was special homage. So I hope he meets my my ancestor, who's a storyteller, Charles Calendar. Maybe they're oh no, they'll be comparing notes on me. Never mind, moving on. But thank you, Mike. Thank you. I really did not want to leave. Because of you and John Rowe, I now have two homes, Washington, D.C. and Marrakesh, Morocco.
Well, happy birthday in advance. I'm sure we'll speak before anyway, but that sounds like you've got an amazing celebration organized there.
I've already begun. People are already sending me gifts.
I think it's going to be a birthday month, I think, rather than the birthday day. Yes.
And my Virgo friends know, I'm not Virgo, Virgo. My Virgo friends know that at the end of August, they have to wait for me to settle down. But yes, it's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Mike. It means a lot, especially coming from you. Thank you indeed. All right, Mike, the pirate, what say ye?
Well, I'm just struggling to believe that you're not even 70 yet. You're so mature for a kid.
What you guys don't understand is that usually every session, Mike and I are in chat cracking horrible puns, some of it that make it to the general audience. And yeah, that's why I can't look at his comments while I'm storytelling. But yes, Mike, soon I'll be as old as you.
No, you won't. Not unless I die.
Well, we don't want you to do that anytime soon.
No,
I'm talking about your maturity.
You ain't going to catch up. I'm 71 already.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. I look so young.
I didn't say that, but I mean, yes, you do. And I love your sense of humor. And there's something about you that exudes youth. but maybe a shower would take care of that. But anyhow, no, Mike, you thank you. You are a wonderful friend, and thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Apuva, I know you're new to us, but do you have something you wish to share or say?
Yeah, so I really thank you for including all of us in your stories, and when you did narrate the story about Jasname, that was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
I hope someone lets her tells her to do the playback, because I've been thinking about that. That story is going to grow a little bit more, but I've been thinking about that, and I've been wanting to do a story about Jasname for quite some time. But Approval, what you don't know is that when Jasname first came to us, she was kind of quiet and shy, kind of. But now she has 3 different introductions. She's still in Great Britain. She's now internationally acclaimed. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. All right, back at the Storytelling Cafe. How we doing?
Hello.
Hello, how are we doing back
Hi.
there? Oh, I love that.
I'm doing good. What about you?
Oh, you have to send me that picture. I've been looking for that picture.
This one?
Yes. the one in the
Okay.
background.
Okay.
Please.
Oh, okay.
I'll put my as soon as I remember it, I'll put my Gmail
Am I-
address.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Wally, do you want to say hello?
Say again.
Just inviting Wally to say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Wally. Yeah, speak up. Join in.
So,
I'm Mr. Mike.
so Wally is joined the team this week, and he's everybody in the cafe in Marrakesh loves working with Waleed, and he's learning with Ali, learning how to do the magic carpet flying. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of him.
All right. All right. Yes, and I even have a story that I'm working on that talks about the magic carpet. And Waleed, for those of us who speak American and English, it ends with a D, as in divine. Because if you're not careful, we wind up calling him Wally. Anyhow, but I love that picture. Thank you very much. Well, it's sad, but it's about that time to say until the next time. I hope everyone's enjoyed themselves, and I hope everyone could hear me clearly. I have a new setup that thank you. And I was surprised because my regular setup would not kick in. So the computer just took over, and it's been a joyous thing. I can hear everyone clearly, even Mike Factory, whose last name I'm probably assassinating. But anyhow, good folk. Coming up, I believe this Sunday we have off, but coming up next Tuesday, we have International Storytelling. If you are 25 or younger, you're more than welcome to join us. And we meet at, let me see, it's 12 noon my time, so it must be 5 p.m. British time. So we ask you to join us then. And if you give me just a second, I'll see what's coming up. No, I won't. I'll see what's coming up at the next World Storytelling, World Storytelling. I'm finessing. I'm trying to type it in real quick.
Let me help you out, brother.
Thank
So
you.
Tuesday, we have our Young Tellers at 5 o'clock UK time. On Friday next week, 6 o'clock, we have the amazing John Rowe telling stories for children.
Oh, I've heard about him.
And then the following Sunday, we have Worldwide Storytelling round with friends from Mike
Get a word in.
Rush, who will be having his festival this weekend. So I'm sure he'll be chilling out for a week and then joining us the following Sunday. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for that rescue. John had said he was going to try to pop back in and do it, and I had not looked ahead, but thank you, Mike. As always, you're on top of it. You the man. I don't say that to too many people, but you the man. You the man. All right. Well, everybody from Apuva to both Mike's World Storytelling Cafe and our Facebook audience and social platform audience, I never say goodbye like the Michael Jackson song, but I do say to be continued until the next time. Continue having a phenomenal, fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend. Until then, Baba C out.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Mike. Thank you, Prabha. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Baba, check your email.
I put my email, babacgms@gmail.com.
Yeah, check it. Yeah,
We
I
send
sent
it to
it.
you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I will
Yeah.
do that. You want to hold on while I check it?
sure.
All right, hold on. That would be in Gmail. And let me see. Let me see. That's my name, C. And the computer's running slow today. Come on, computer. Oh, it's there. And let me open it.
Yeah.
And let me open it. There it is.
Yeah.
It's coming in. It's running slow today, but oh man, that is an awesome picture. And I'm in it. I love that picture. It is so going up on my Facebook account. It's a great picture. Oh,
Yeah.
Waleed, see, I would never have gotten. Okay, I see the way you did that. Okay, I like that. Okay, so now that we've done that, and I've embarrassed myself and patted myself on the back at the same time. Once again, thank you, everybody. See you next week. Same time, same station. Take care.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. Well, good afternoon for me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, yeah, it's time for me for a late lunch or an early early dinner.
You know?
Yeah, it's only about 2 p.m. on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to take a break and then I have a workshop to attend. All right, I'm out. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
later. I miss you, Ali. I really do. And I miss the Riyadh, you know.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, this is something that may sound a little strange, but just before I got the news that the Hajj had passed, the night before, I had a dream that I was in Marrakesh and that the storytellers we had gathered around and someone was asking me about the Hajj. And then when I woke up, John Rowe had posted the information. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. So anyhow, before you guys think I'm completely crazy,